Today's video we are going to installing Kali Linux inside VMware Workstation on a Windows laptop. Before we begin, let's take a look at the minimum requirements. You are going to want at least 2 GB of RAM, 4 is recommended, 20 GB of hard disk space, 1 CPU core but 2 is recommended. Alright, so I am in my Windows desktop. I'm going to open up my browser and head over to the Kali Linux website at kali.org. I'm in the download section, and what we want to do is to use the installer image. So I am going to click on this, which jumps over to the installer image. If we scroll down a little bit, we can see that the latest version of Kali Linux is available. I am going to be using the 46-bit version. It's about 4 GB. We will click on the download option and it will begin downloading the ISO file image. With the operating system downloaded, we open up VMware Workstation. Inside the VMware Workstation, I will create a new virtual machine. Click on the new button. Now I will give it a name. I'm typing the Kali Linux. Now in the hard disk space, I have located 25 GB on my C drive. The default RAM is set at 2 GB, but you can increase it within the green zone. I will bump up to 4 GB because I found it run a little smoother. For CPU cores, you need at least 1, but you can adjust as long as you stay within the recommended limits. Once all selections are made, click on the Start button. Now we are in the user menu, which offers a few choices. We are using the Graphical installer, so select that and hit enter on your keyboard. The installer then allow us to select language and religion settings. I am using the default settings: English for language, United States for location, and American English as a keyboard configuration. Enter the host name and domain if needed. Create a username and password. Set a source password and keep this username and password in your mind because you cannot access to the system without it. Now it's setting up the clock, and the next step is to choose your time zone. And the most important part is disk partitioning. Use guided, use entire disk for automatic setup. Click on continue, and keep your selection in recommended for new users. Configure changes and accept partition modification to begin installation. And you're gonna wait while essential files are copied. When choosing a Linux desktop environment, the decision often comes down to XFCE, KDE Plasma, or GNOME, each offering unquiet experience. By my side, I will keep everything as default, but I will show you on the screen how many differences between all these environments. And the most important part, I will disconnect my internet to show you can install everything offline without being online. And here is a different type between choosing a Linux desktop environment, how each desktop looks like, until the process of the installation ends. Configure grep bootloader. Ensure grep is installed to boot properly. It continues installation, but after finishing installation, reboot and restart to complete the setup. Next, you have the option to select additional software to install. I'm leaving everything as default and clicking continue. Then we will install bootloader by clicking continue, selecting the virtual drive, and letting the installation finish. Once the installation is complete, click on the continue to reboot the virtual machine. At the login screen, enter the username and password that you created during the installation. Now you are at the Kali Linux desktop, and we will just switch to full screen. And here you are at the desktop of Kali Linux inside the VMware Workstation on a Windows laptop. All necessary apps are displayed as a top, already preloaded. You can proceed as you like. And if you find this video useful, don't forget to subscribe.